My mother-in-law is not such an old woman. At that time, she was 53 years old. Her husband died a long time ago, about 20 years ago. He was older than her and drank heavily. She raised my wife alone, relying on the help of her mother. When I married her daughter, she happily quit her job. There was not much left before retirement. There were some savings. I was going to find a job closer to home, even if it was less well paid. Plus, her mother had a decent pension for the elderly. She mostly stayed at home and gave her all the money for the household. In general, they lived normally and did not grieve. Over time, she got a job as a salesman in a tobacco store. After a while, her grandmother died, and her mother-in-law was left alone. They paid her pennies there. There was constantly not enough money, and my wife and I decided that we could not leave her in this position, after which I gave the go-ahead to my wife to buy her groceries, medicines, and so on if necessary. At that time, I had already settled down well and started making good money. My mother-in-law took our help very hard at first. A strong woman who used to carry her family on her shoulders all her life found herself in such a miserable situation. At first, she even cried when we brought her our humanitarian aid. But over time, she got used to and accepted this position. She constantly thanked me because she understood that her daughter did not work, and not every son-in-law agreed to help his mother-in-law, and not his parents. And not everyone helps their own. She began to treat me almost better than her own daughter, constantly finding reasons to hug me. It was a little strange for me, but I won't hide it. I liked it. My wife didn't notice it, and she couldn't have thought of anything like that. On the contrary, she was glad that I had such a good relationship with her mother, and I was helping her. I had to help not only financially, but also with household chores. There is no man in the house. Something broke there. The mixer needs to be changed here. I did all this. My hands are growing out of the right place, so I coped without any problems getting gratitude in return. What would I do without you, Golden? My mother-in-law whispered in my ear. It was nice to help her, so at any moment she did not hesitate to ask me to do something, and I never refused. I also really liked talking to her. My wife does not like to discuss politics and current events in the world. But it is always interesting to discuss almost any topic with my mother-in-law. She is an educated and intelligent woman. When we have such a conversation, my wife just pulls away. You've started again. And he's looking at his phone. And I wonder if my mother-in-law also lacks communication. She lives alone. So we can talk until the wife starts to complain that everyone has forgotten her. In the summer, we started a bathroom renovation in our apartment. We made repairs in the rooms and in the kitchen right after the wedding, but we never got around to the bathroom. And she hasn't seen repairs since ancient times. It was impossible to live in the apartment during the renovation. First of all, everything was dismantled, and there was no toilet or water in it. At this time, we moved in with my mother-in-law. She has a spare room, which my wife and I occupied, and my daughter slept on the couch in her room. In the morning, my wife took the child to kindergarten. I had to go to our area, since the garden is near the house where repairs are underway, and when she returned, I picked up the car and went to the apartment to monitor the process. The workers came around 12 o'clock and worked until 6 or 7 in the evening. I stayed at home, working late, and came to spend the night with my mother-in-law. As it usually happens, the workers spoiled the materials and the whole process was delayed. Instead of the estimated couple of weeks, the epic had been going on for almost a month, and by this point they had only somehow finished with the tiles. I like to sleep longer, and in general I wake up hard. In this regard, the child was always taken to kindergarten by his wife. Theoretically, I could too, especially since it would be convenient to go to the apartment right after that and not drive the car back and forth through the city, but I had enough for a couple of times this month. The rest of the days I slept peacefully until 9 a.m. Sometimes I got up later. No one complained, because I always worked until the evening. One beautiful summer morning, I was woken up by a pleasant feeling. I don't remember my wife ever doing that. I opened my eyes. No, it's definitely not a wife. I finally understood everything, and she realized that I had finally woken up and did not think to stop. I pulled off the duvet cover and saw my mother-in-law. What? What are you doing? The question was stupid, since everything is so obvious. Good morning, my golden one. I've been wanting to thank you for a long time. Relax. She pushed me with her hand to lie back down. But it's already happened. Don't worry. I leaned back on my elbows and watched the process. I didn't want to stop her at all. We made love. Before we could properly disperse, the doorbell rang. My wife has arrived. Go open it. I'm going to take a shower. The mother-in-law ran away. I was left alone. He pulled on denim shorts and a t-shirt, opened the window, and went to open the door. It was a big bummer. Nothing else worked out that day, even though I told my mother-in-law that the case was not over. Don't worry about your age, she replied with a smile. Her gaze changed, although she behaved as usual in front of her wife, and looked at me whenever she could. The renovation in the bathroom is finally over, and we returned to our native walls. My wife was very pleased with the result, and of course, she invited my mother to visit to see how it turned out with the bathroom. After evaluating the repair, we had tea, and the mother-in-law began to get ready to go home. Why don't you take your mom so you don't have to call a taxi? At the same time, go to the store and buy wine for the evening. I agreed. Why not? We packed up and left the house. Have you decided to finish what you started? My mother-in-law asked in the car and took my hand, which was lying on the gear lever. It depends on you. But it would be great. What kind of scoundrel are you? Aren't you ashamed? Why should I be ashamed? We are one family. The logic is ironclad. Do you think my gratitude wasn't enough? It would have been great if my wife hadn't returned. And so it turned out to be a complete bummer. I would like new boots for autumn. Mine are already 5 years old. My salary is only enough for a pair of boots. She's tricky. I've just started to understand her game. Don't tell me you want to make love for money. What are you, my golden one? We are one family. Your wife has a new everything. And what's worse for me? I had strange feelings. On the one hand, I understood her and did not want her to walk in autumn in 5-year-old boots. On the other hand, her directness discouraged me. I think I hid it. I chuckled. We were standing at a traffic light, and I took out a wallet from my pocket, which contained $20 and smaller money. Will $200 be enough for boots? I still have to go to the store. That's enough, of course. At the sight of money, her eyes lit up. It was noticeable that her mother-in-law clearly missed the money. It was almost her monthly salary in the store. I handed her the money. Of course, it was expensive, but we are one family. Moreover, helping your beloved mother-in-law is a sacred thing. Thanks. You did a great job. By the way, when it's just the two of us, let's go for it. I like you more, especially since it won't take long to get caught. Well, as you know, we were already approaching her house. Wait, I need to wash up. My mother-in-law pushed me away and ran into the bathroom. Her cat looked at me accusingly. Why are you staring at me, master? About 5 minutes later, she came out of the bathroom. I was standing in the kitchen, and she took my hand and pulled me into the room. She couldn't have done it in 5 minutes, so this mother-in-law originally had a plan, and she stuck to it. We made love again. Go to the store, or they'll lose you. After catching her breath, the mother-in-law said,